This time on cherry picking, we Frankenstein the motor, but we get it running. Oh, crap. That's right, welcome back to today's video where we're going to bring this 1972 Ford F-250 4x4 back from near-death experience by getting this old 390 up and running on all 8 cylinders again and getting it to look a little bit nicer while we're at it. Plus, we're going to add a 4-barrel carbon intake. Now, in the last video where this truck came back, we discovered that it actually had a completely broken push rod inside the motor, as well as another bent one. So it was actually running on 6 cylinders instead of 8. Now, since we had to pull the intake off anyways, we decided we'd put on a 4-barrel intake just to wake this thing up a little, since we also discovered it's a 390 in there instead of a 360. So this 4-barrel intake is going to do a lot of help. In the last video, we painted this guy. We also went ahead and painted all of the other engine parts, as you can see here. They're all nice, shiny, and new looking. So this engine's going to look like a brand new engine when we're done with it. It's also going to run better too. Now, if we go ahead and open up the hood here, we can actually take a peek into the engine bay and see what it looks like since the last video. Like I mentioned, I went ahead and painted everything. So I painted the entire front of the engine as well as the valve covers and the timing cover. And now we get to put a nice painted intake back on as well as the painted accessories, and it's going to look super, super nice in here. Now, we're not going to go as crazy on the inside under hood area of this truck as we did on the 67 blue F-250 that we did a video on that you can watch up here. We're not going to paint all of the inner fender wells or the front core support or anything like that. We're just going to stick to the motor as well as the new brake parts to make the brakes look nice and shiny under here. But that's going to be up for the new owner to actually do in the future if he wants to. It's a bigger project. You want to take the whole front clip off to really paint it all correctly. So let's stop yapping. Let's get to working. Alright, well, it's pretty much past time to stall, so I've got the intake gaskets on and some of the front accessories, and now for the fun part, let's put this intake on. We've got the lifter valley pan back in, don't want to forget that. Intake gaskets are set, and I am using the cork gaskets with a bunch of gasket shellac. That seems to be the best on these stock intakes. This is the part where my back goes. Here we go. Oh, I can't do it like that. Hang on. That's not going to work. Okay, but it's on. Now we just got to get bolts started and tighten them down and make sure that the front and rear China wall gaskets don't blow out, because then we'll have a bad day. Now on FEs, one of the things you need to do when you do the intake gaskets is actually cut off the excess off the intake gasket so that the valve cover gasket seals. Just chop it off with a hammer and chisel and call it good. Alright, the sun is going down very fast. It's actually technically about to be down, but we've got all of the accessories on. I had to replace one of the alternator, the main battery cable end. The old one had basically melted off. That's actually why the old alternator stopped working. But I've got all our new pieces on, our clutch fan is on, and our belts are on so that I can turn it all at once and not cause any issues. But we're gonna go ahead and hook up the battery real fast. And hope that that is not where that cable goes. Hope that the battery has enough charge in it to turn it over. And if I remember correctly, it should be that one. And I know it's in neutral because I already put it in neutral, but I want to just turn this over and make sure that we're building oil pressure before I continue on putting everything else on. Because remember, we did have at least one stuck valve, if not two originally, and I replaced the two push rods with some spare stock ones I had. You're not supposed to, but you know, who's counting? So hopefully we should be able to turn this over. Not enough power, gotta hook up the battery charger. All right, let's try it now. Oh, still some gas in the fuel pump, oh well. All right, everything's moving. By the way, all the spark plugs are out. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't making it harder on it than it needed to be. But doesn't look like we're getting oil just yet. Probably let it charge a little bit more and then we'll keep trying. Sun is down, so we gotta hurry. And then I will see you tomorrow morning. We gotta rebuild the carb and get this thing running. So let's do that. All right, so we got the carb rebuilt and it is the next day and the sun is already going down. So we're pretty much done for the day because unfortunately, after I rebuilt the carb, I pretty much tried to get everything on top here. I tried to get everything on top taken care of on the motor for the most part. Basically, all we have left is the coolant lines. We're gonna replace all the heater hoses and then PCV, we've gotta adjust it because this one does not have a rear PCV or vacuum port for the brakes like the old intake does. It's got a front one, so I've got to make a line to go from front to back. But I have spent the last, I don't know, 2.5 hours while the sun is going down trying to install these brass freeze plugs. I even got the right ones. They're 1 and 49/64 for these FE motors. Can't get it in there, just not happening. Can't seem to get a straight shot. So I tried. I spent 2.5 hours really trying to angle in. That's mostly on one side, and then on the other side I went over there and looked at it, tried to get one up. Not even close, not even gonna get one in there. So unfortunately I'm gonna have to say uncle and go with the rubber expansion plugs. I hate to do it, but we're running out of time and I don't have time to pull this motor, which is really the only good way to do it, is pulling the motor. Now, you might say I could probably unbolt it and lift up one side. The frame is just in the way. It's already close to being in the way, and if you lifted the motor, it's gonna be just more in the way. It's not happening. So, rubber plugs it is, and then hopefully we will get this thing tidied up, and let's see it run. So let's get to the good stuff and get it running. All right, well, sometimes, unfortunately, you just fail, and that's kind of where we're at today and last week's video, but it's just not working out. So let me tell you what's going on. It's Friday, and the sun is down. I got barely any time to work on this truck today. I had work and other things. So didn't really get started till about an hour ago. And I've been plugging away trying to finish a bunch of stuff. Unfortunately, the coolant system is not ready. I've got 2 of the freeze plugs in, the rubber ones, but I still have the brass plug that's partially in, and to be completely honest, I don't know if it's fully in, and I don't want to risk it for the biscuit and magically have it pop out under pressure or something because it's not seated correctly. So I'm not full of coolant, and this thing, well, none of the hoses are hooked up other than like the radiator hoses, but none of the heater hoses are hooked up to the water pump or anything like that. So we're not really running coolant at the moment. The other thing is that I'm actually missing the water temp sender, which is also a problem for coolant because it's missing. It's not in there. We also don't have the valve covers on just yet, but everything else is hooked up. So what we're going to do right now is actually just run it very shortly, just to make sure that it actually runs and that the carburetor starts up and that it got oil pressure and that it's oiling the system. So let's just run it as it is and see what happens. Okay, so I'm pretty sure everything's tightened up. I know the fuel line is tightened up, the carb base plate is tightened. I can't even think of what else. I have a plug on, I believe, every vacuum fitting, so I think it's ready to go. The only thing is these spark plug wires, I'm trying to keep them off those rocker covers. The other side's not a problem. This side, oh, actually that worked. Huh, that worked. So now those aren't touching anything. I think I've got the coil wired up. I don't know. But it's that time. I've got to just run it. Alternator is hooked up, but the regulator is the old one, and I don't know if it actually works or not. A lot of ifs, ands, or buts, people. Okay, but we're here to make it run. And as long as I can get it running, I'd call that a success. And then we can come back for next week's video and actually finish it up and make it look good, unfortunately. This video's got to go out tomorrow, so it's now or never. All right, I believe the key is already on. Let us make sure this fan blade is not going to come in contact with anything. Radiator hoses, doesn't really matter because none of them are hooked up. Okay, well, it's going to take a second for fuel to pump back up. Now I definitely smell fuel, which is not a good sign. I smell a lot of fuel. Could just be me, could be going crazy. Everything is hooked up, right? Coil is hooked up, key is on. I did time it when I stabbed it in there, so it should be pretty close, or at least at 0. Oh, got a gas leak. Accelerator pump bracket is, of course, leaking, because why wouldn't it be? But we've got gas. All right, why is it not firing? Could be flooded because I'm smelling a ton of gas. What are we missing? 1972 Ford truck coil wire color. Red with green stripe. I knew that. Pretty sure that is the temperature sending wire. It's got to be. All right, I got to run a jumper then. Oh no. Where's my good jumper? All I've got is this garbage. That's not going to work. Or I could just manhandle it. That's what everyone wants to see, right? Watch for the fan. Clear. Runs just fine. It's even quiet. Doesn't clatter anymore. What a shocker. Idle's good. Nothing's running on the lifters. Well, I'd call that a success. Even though it's a failure, it's still a success. I'll find and take my wins where I can get them, you know what I'm saying? I mean, a minute ago, we didn't even have a running truck, so I'd call that good. I am currently burning my finger on the coil, so that's cool. But it runs. Now, I can't run it super long. It's cold, thankfully, so I can run it for a little bit. It runs good, though. It's quiet. It's really quiet. Who would have thought? Especially after the last 3 videos of it sounding horrendous. All right, well, we'll shut it off there. I don't want to get it too hot. It's already starting to get warm, as you can tell by the smoke pouring out of the temp. And my oh my, do we have a gas leak. Well, you can't win them all, but you can win a few of them. And I'd call that a success. Almost. Close enough. It's definitely got a major fuel leak out of a carb that I literally just rebuilt. So I hate that, and I'm going to have to clean that up before the paint starts pouring off, because it's nice shiny paint. And you don't want ruined paint under your hood, folks. Well, that's going to have to be where I end it for today, folks. Sorry, I apologize. We didn't get to finish it. We didn't make it. We're going to lose the shop. That's just what it is. But I can't keep going on it. I've got to get this video uploaded. So that's where I'm going to have to end it here. Now, I want to say, if you've watched so far, thank you so much. If you're new to the channel, I really appreciate you watching this, and I hope you come back. We've got a lot more to do on this truck. It is not finished yet. So we'll be back next week, working on it, finishing it up, trying to make it good. So I guess I'll see you next week. And if you like this video, please leave me a like, comment, subscribe. Do all the things that YouTube wants you to do. If you didn't like this video, sorry. Well, I'll see you next time. See ya. Thank you.